I get to see the truth every day. I consider myself so blessed.
Known you since you first started and ground zero, and to see how far you've come, it's amazing.
I'm
Quick.
shocked too, man. When you own the business, you're going to put your people first in some ways.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pick up the slack.
You have to take care of them because you take care of them, they take care of you.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who they just don't like the energy business.
Right.
Despite being completely dependent upon it.
Right.
The most important thing they taught me was about gaining trust,
Mm-hmm.
not to abuse it,
Right.
to gain it and maintain it. Some of the best companies to work with out here are ones that put people over production. And they're surprisingly successful. We will make gold out of dirt.
Bam! Welcome to today's show, BAM BIZ TALK podcast. I'm here today with Mr. James Durbin, the oil field photographer. How you doing, brother?
Doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Known you for a while since you first started and ground zero, and to see how far you've come, it's amazing, right? And you took off.
I'm
quick.
shocked too, man. It's amazing. It is amazing.
And that's the beauty of why I appreciate someone like you being successful, right? Because you're shocked that you're successful. And I think it takes that humbleness to do what you do. Because and we'll get into this. We will get into this. But you launched from the Midland Entrepreneurial Challenge.
I did.
2018?
I believe it was 18.
Yeah. And just real quick, I just remember on your financials, the amount that you asked for was to the penny.
Yeah, it was. They were actually kind enough to round up slightly. But it was not, it was probably the least amount asked for. Maybe that's still ever been asked for.
I believe so.
And very specific. And yeah, I mean, I knew what I needed to really transform what I was trying to do. And I didn't go for any more than that. Maybe that goes against shooting for the stars, but I was hungry to try and want to make sure I got what I needed and I wasn't being greedy.
Right. That's what I love about you, man. You're a straight shoot, you're humble, but you're going to make do with what you got and what you need. I think that's a great lesson for entrepreneurs. Hey, use what you have and make the most out of it. Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you searching for ways of taking your business to the next level? BAM is your answer. We specialize in crafting high-performance marketing strategies that put your brand front and center right in the palm of your customers' hands. Not only can we create a premium website full of features that optimize your social media and digital marketing presence, but we ensure that your brand gets multiple views from your target audience and even those visiting your competition. BAM is your go-to solution in the Permian Basin. But we're not just about digital and social media marketing. We're a one-stop shop offering a spectrum of services including business mentorship, strategic planning, market research, and access to capital. That's right. We can get you funding to expand your business. With BAM, you're not just getting a service, you're gaining a partner committed to your growth for the life of your business. Our team of experts in small business development will be with you every step of the way, offering the guidance, support, and services you need. So why wait? Kickstart your journey to success today. Call us to set up a free consultation and discover how BAM can help your business soar above the rest. 432-247-8840. Call today and get your business launched. The BAM BIZ TALK podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pachuco's Restaurant. Craving authentic and eclectic cuisine in Midland? Well, Pachuco's has you covered. Located in downtown Midland at the ever-so-legendary and iconic historic building at 316 North Big Spring Street, Pachuco's blends rich and unique flavors in a conveniently pleasant and vibrant atmosphere. Enjoy the highest quality barbecue, savory tacos, burgers, and a variety of other mouth-watering dishes that reflect the spirit of a true Pachuco cuisine. Real, authentic, and just plain different. Check out their menu at www.pachucos432.com or call 432-218-8806 to inquire, or better yet, just show up and get your shine on. At Pachucos, where heritage, exquisite taste, and hospitality come together for an unforgettable dining experience. Pachucos, Midland, Texas.
Contact us for podcast sponsorship opportunities.
Now back to the show.
Yeah, and what's amazing is we actually still have, I mean, most of what our ask was that we were funding was some equipment and really just financial assistance to start the business, to handle formations of companies and things like that just cost money that are hard to do at the beginning. And so all of that obviously still carries over because the business is formed and running. And a lot of those costs were expected and allocated for. And then the rest was equipment. And technology changes pretty quick, but we actually still have everything that we purchased. It wasn't that long ago, and the equipment is still extremely useful and high functioning. So it's really been a great investment. It's all still there for the most part.
That's amazing, man. And of course, you've added on.
Yeah,
That
big time.
equipment. Big
Yeah.
time, huh?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the oil field photography. What do you do, man?
Yeah. So just like it sounds, we do corporate photography, videography, and other kind of visual production, mainly for customers of the oil and gas or energy business.
And you do all kinds of cool stuff, man. Like you do drone footage, right?
Yeah, we work with drones. We work with time-lapse equipment.
Time-lapse is super cool.
We came up with a really unique system. Even had to build our own equipment to really make it work because nothing commercially was available to do extremely lengthy time lapses, over a year in length or more. We've had one that's approaching 2 years recording right now.
Wow.
In fact, and there's really nobody in the country that has that type of reputation for being able to ensure results
Wow.
like that, like we do.
So like you build a structure to house the camera, or
Yeah, I've got 2 trailers that I built out using parts through a local company in Odessa. We mounted a camera platform to them. We mounted solar panels to them, and they can run for forever, and they record 24 hours a day. And there's some other cool things I can do on the back end to compile the time lapses. And so we're using them for construction projects. We're using them for cool things that happen in the oil field, like when rigs are walking and moving, or for just basically showing a completion of a well project from start to finish, from when it's a field of dust to when it's a fully completed functioning well pad. We're able to record it start to finish, play it back, and use it as an educational tool.
Okay, that was my next question. What are these companies using that for?
It's the usefulness of it in the oil and gas business is just infinite, because we can break down each section of the process and show how it was done in a bit of a sped up manner, which most people don't usually get to see. They'll drive by and see a rig there for weeks at a time, and then it's gone.
Right.
Maybe they see a completions crew come in and it's gone, but you don't really know what's going on. And as anybody that's been around this business knows, there's dozens and hundreds of companies at any given moment that are involved in what's happening on those sites. And so we're able to really show how each aspect of the industry comes together to make these projects happen.
Right. So you have all these different service companies coming in and out, all the different
Correct.
aspects.
Yeah, truck traffic, just people. People is really at the forefront of where our business is. We really like to showcase the people of the business, of the industry, humanize the industry. And these time lapses are just one way we can do that. But when you watch one, you just see the sheer number of people and vehicles that are moving constantly to make these operations possible. And it's really eye-opening.
I would imagine it's the same kind of realization or perspective that you would get when you're in a plane and you look down and you see a bunch of ants moving around, cars, trucks, people.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is the same kind of realization.
Yeah.
You're moving in and out.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about this tool, is just you can make long things fast. You can really condense big projects to see each step of the way being done. And so we've got another one right now out on a gas plant being constructed. So it's cool to see all the pieces of equipment come in, lift all these big, heavy towers and things that are being assembled. And at the end of it, the company will be able to have this really cool piece of marketing material. Additionally to that, we also have remote viewing capabilities. So our customers are able to view these projects in real time. Wherever they are in the country or the world.
Oh, wow.
So like on the gas plant construction, our customer was super thrilled because they got all their execs together in their Houston office, logged in, and watched them when they had a crane lift, especially heavy, big piece of equipment.
Yeah.
They were able to watch it in real time in the boardroom over lunch or whatever.
Right.
I just have it playing in the background so that they could be part of that project and experience the excitement of that monumental piece of the puzzle being done while they were all several hundred miles away.
So that's interesting, right? They can witness the milestones of the project.
Yeah, exactly.
Progress, right? Are we on schedule?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, what needs to be adjusted?
Yep. And you'd be surprised what stuff we catch sometimes. So. Yeah.
And I'm sure our listeners are from the Permian, the O&G. We know the oil field.
Yeah.
So good times.
Yeah. It's definitely good for contractor management, knowing when people are supposed to be there that they are there. But, man, that's just one aspect of our business. And that was really an offshoot after the entrepreneurial challenge. That was something that I dreamed up, especially around COVID, as I came to figure out there'd be a need for a lot more remote monitoring capabilities and less people possibly having to just travel out to a remote job site just to make sure that everything is still happening. That's where I dreamed up this technology, along with a couple of my customers who gave me a shot to test it, to try it, which is really the most important thing, because it's all good. It's all good to have an idea, but sometimes it takes a little help to get it into motion. And our first time lapse was a disaster. Oh man, I'm the kind of guy that if you ask me to do something and I feel it's within my abilities, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna research it, and I'm gonna figure it out,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do it together. You're gonna know that I'm figuring it out with you, but if it's within our capabilities and our specialties, I'm gonna figure out a way. So I had a customer that wanted to do a year-long time lapse, and of course, none of our equipment was up to that task, and there really wasn't a lot of options out there. So I researched what was available at the time. And one of the first lessons we learned was anything that you put out for a year in the Permian Basin better be able to withstand the dirt, the dust, the elements. And so that was a learning curve, and learning how to build protection for these things, and learning how to really delve into some of the manufacturer specs when they say that it's like a weather sealed device. How weather sealed. So we've come a long way. And the first time lapse, it was a success. I just say it was a disaster because it was early tech. I didn't have the remote capabilities on that. I would literally have to go out once a month and get on a man lift and plug into these cameras to pull the data off of them, just to make sure in case they got destroyed or anything happened, we didn't lose it. So I would be going back and forth to Kermit, getting on a man lift with my laptop balanced on the edge of the man lift, pulling data off. And I just kind of, even installing those units, I had to source the pipe, the trailer, the truck to haul it out there, install the poles to put the cameras on. I mean, it was just, I learned I learned what I needed to figure out to make it better. And
Through that trial run.
yeah, man. And it worked. It's just like one of those things where it's like, there's got to be a better way, or here's what I have to R&D better. And so our next unit was trailer mounted. I instantly knew I had to have something on a trailer that I could move around, that I could position myself, and that I could access. And I knew that remote viewing capability was going to be a very critical component of it. And I knew that extremely heavy duty exterior rated camera units were going to be mandatory.
I love that story, man, because as an entrepreneur, you just starting out, it's like, what's that saying? An entrepreneur jumps off the cliff and then figures out how to assemble the plane.
That's it, man. And you got to be willing to do the work. I went out there and was doing it. I didn't have anybody
to do the work.
Yeah.
And so when you did start, you were just one man, right?
Yeah.
You were the oil field photographer.
I was, and that's where the company name came from. When I dreamed of that name, I thought I was literally in bed, I think, or in the shower. Sometimes that's where ideas come to me. And I told my wife, I was like, man, I should be I'm the oil field. I'm the photographer of the oil field. That's what people call me for. Surely there's somebody's named that, and I got on Google. I'm like, there's no way this URL exists. Somebody's going to want money for it. And immediately the GoDaddy or whatever popped up, like, this is available for $7.99. Bought it instantly, right then and there, for the full term, 5 years or whatever it would do. Because I was like, I'll build a website later. I'll figure this out later. And this is when I was still fully involved in my previous job, which was in the news business for the Midland Reporter Telegram. I was like, I'll figure this out. There's a place for this, but I am the oil field photographer. I'm gonna claim it. And that doesn't mean there weren't ones before me or during me or after me. But man, that name is useful.
Yeah.
Although now that there's more of us, it's there's more than one of us now. And of course, we do more than just the oil field, and we do more than just photography. So, there may be a rebrand in the future. Really, Midland, Odessa is an interesting place because everybody knows that everything is connected to the oil patch. So it's not a weird thing when we shoot a dinner banquet for a fundraiser under the oil field photographer name, because all of our customers are there. Anyways, so it just works in this area. And,
sure.
And this area is just so unique. So.
It is very unique, man. And that's amazing, right? Had the vision. You said, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I like the whole oil field.
Well, you have to
claiming it.
You have to believe you got it in order to try and go for it. And at that time, and even now, there's oil patches all over the world. I'm not the only one that does this. We want to be the authority on it,
for sure.
And we really pride ourselves on being not just photographers, but oil field photographers. We learn this equipment. We learn what's the different aspects of the industry are and how these companies relate to it. So, and most importantly, we get safety certifications to be out on location. So you're not going to get that experience that you'll get from working with us with just any marketing firm or random photographer.
Right. Because they could say, yeah, I could be out there on location. But can they?
Do they have PPE? Are they looking around to be mindful of dangers that may exist out there while they're producing? Are they able to do that while they're producing? You have to have a little bit of a split brain operation.
Yeah. Because we all know that is a dangerous spot.
Yeah. We're well aware that when we are on site as media producers on an oil and gas location, we're a liability for a lot of different companies that are involved. And it's taken a long time to build trust and understanding that we can minimize that, and we can help our clients minimize that too by also looking around for safety violations or things like this. We want to be a partner to them, not just like a kind of a problem that they hope gets done soon. We will stop a shoot and have somebody adjust where their H2S monitor is to make sure it's in the proper spot, like not on top of their hard hat or clipped to their boot or something. Not that ever happened. Not that that ever happened. Or that somebody looks their best, shirts tucked in, or however the company wants to represent themselves. Be a partner in that and make sure that everything we shoot has to be useful to the company, or it's just a huge waste of an investment.
Because they spend all that money, and then you got 3 guys with the H2S monitor on their helmet,
or not wearing them. And
you were just there clicking, not paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, man.
Yeah, and a lot of our customers have had that problem in the past.
I can imagine.
So before working with us. So these are just a few of the things that we really strive to help set us apart. And I think what have helped make us successful is just being involved in this industry, really owning it, being an advocate for it, and using that platform to help share the story of our customers and their important role in this industry.
And that boils down, as it's unique to what you do, right? It's value add, and it's customer service.
Yeah, customer service is definitely important, and we pride ourselves on just being so accessible. And we live and work in the same area. You're not bringing in a crew from Houston that doesn't know what they're looking at and has to stay in a hotel somewhere. And we're here, we know it. We breathe the same dirt in that everybody else does.
Yeah,
and we get up at the same time and go to the locations. We know where the locations are. When you tell me it's in Mentone, I know where it is. A lot of times we'll work with marketing people, and they'll be like, "Yeah, we have a shoot that's close to Midland. It's in Orland." I'm like, I know. A lot of times I know more about it than the marketing firms that are working with the oil companies and need somebody to do the photography. We're more informed on the topic.
Yeah, because if you've been out in the field, you know where all these different locations and leases are, and you know you're wearing steel toe boots.
Yeah,
you're not going out there in some Nikes.
Yep.
You know it's amazing how it takes someone from within to service your own people, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really what's missing, has been missing a lot over the years. That there's a lot of going outside of the area, for what, right? But I think that's changing. I think the culture is changing.
Midland, Odessa, there is so much great investment from a lot of public and private partnerships to make this area have everything you need. And you don't have to go out of it as much anymore, or at least you can get a local bid or two, maybe. Or maybe even if the local bid even if somebody outside is trying to undercut, you've got a local option that you can have a choice and say, you know what, I'm gonna go local. I don't think that maybe was always the case. So.
No, it wasn't always the case. But like these past several years, it's shifting.
Yeah,
things are changing. Everything from the services that we look for our small businesses to the small businesses themselves.
Yeah,
like the culture. Look at the food truck culture has really kicked off.
Yeah, for sure.
We got some top-notch food trucks that have turned to brick and mortars.
Yeah.
And there's still some top-notch food trucks out there that want to become brick and mortars. They want to scale. They want more trucks, and people are going out and patroning these companies. And it's a great thing. The music scene is starting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, big time. 'Cause I remember when I first moved here, you go out and you find some live music. Well, it's a cover band. If there's anything wrong with a cover band, I love me some good covers. But there's something just about an original artist doing his own work or her own work.
Well, we're so fortunate in this area to have world-class facilities like the Wagner Noel, and as well as startup entrepreneurial places like the Tailgate, for example, which is another entrepreneurial challenge, success story, that are making it their business to put out of fashion the phrase, "there's nothing to do in Midland."
Yes.
Right? They're working tirelessly. And you have companies that are donating, a lot of oil and gas companies that are really getting behind that message, whether it's improving green spaces or getting behind school improvement, education, nonprofit sector, just putting their money where their mouth is to make that phrase go out of style. And I still hear it all the time, but I can tell you our schedule as people that cover a lot of events, philanthropic events, dinners, banquets, fundraisers, clay shoots, golf tournaments. We were full.
Yeah.
Every week shooting at least a couple of things that are happening in the community. And so that phrase doesn't go too well with me. It doesn't go too far. I get it. It doesn't go too far with me though, because I know our guys are always like overtime by the end of the week. And we can't take on another thing because I got to give them some time off.
Yeah.
Like today, Saturday, going back to being an entrepreneur, I'm working 2 events this weekend. I was able to bring my family to one. One of them is the eclipse, the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing I can bring my family to.
For sure.
I got to try and balance like work versus home life for not only myself, but for my guys. And when you own the business, you're going to put your people first in some ways.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pick up the slack. And my wife's really understanding about that. She's a 50% owner in the company, and she'll be out there with me if need be. And then today she brought the kids, and we were at the solar eclipse party at the Museum of the Southwest, which is another world-class place that many in Midland may forget about from time to time.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I worked it, and we did have an employee there as well. I didn't just make him have to carry the weight. So these are just decisions that any small business owner probably has to make. And
right. That's beautiful to hear that employees come first, right? Because you have to take care of them, because you take care of them, they take care of you.
Yeah, that's probably the single hardest thing to get under control that I struggle with on a daily basis. Some days I'm better than others. Is that balance, that the family first, right? Business, employees, relationships, religion. There are so many things that all need to come first. In some ways, maybe on a given day, it may rotate. You got to have. I mean, thankfully, I have a partner, my wife, Karina. She gets it, and she comes from a background of small business in her family, entrepreneurs. So she gets it. She runs a small business too. We're both self-unemployed, as I like to call it.
Self-unemployed.
Yeah. So she manages some of we have been fortunate enough to buy rent property that we do Airbnb with. So she manages that, and she could be having to answer messages in the middle of the night for that. It's just it's like we're both of one mind when it comes to that service. But yeah, I'm trying to get out of the office a lot earlier than I used to.
You should.
And it's hard though. It's hard. But a lot of the cool things that we do get to shoot, sometimes I am fortunate to be able to bring my family too, which is neat.
Yeah, it's a nice perk. Yeah. So how many employees do you have?
So we've got one full-time employee, my right-hand man, who's been with me almost since the beginning, like when I first made a hire. It was just me at the beginning, like we talked about. I'd say within the first year or so, it got to where I couldn't do it. So I got one hired. He's also a news background guy. His name's Jacob Ford. He worked at the Odessa American for years. News people just get it, man. News people just get it. I love working with news people. Yeah. So we got him, and then I've got 3 contractors that or actually I have a whole list of contractors that we use for certain things, but 2 of them are really like every day doing work.
That's good, man. So you have one full-time contract out. What's your vision for going forward, growing the oil field?
Man, honestly, my vision is to just continue to streamline, take care of my people, and improve profitability from a business standpoint. That's like pretty much probably what most people would say, no matter what line of work you're in. I want to take better care of my people. I want to improve our bottom line, cut out areas of expenditure that are unnecessary. That's easy. Big picture, where I really want to take this, because I feel like I have unparalleled access and trust within this industry that is I'm so proud of, and it's taken years to get.
For sure.
The trust to be on location, to photograph, to video for large companies and small companies, but companies that are very private oftentimes. I would love to continue to build our business towards more of an advocacy role for this industry as a whole, because there are a lot of organizations that are trying to do it. I feel like sometimes they end up competing with their own selves accidentally, and nobody, in my humble opinion, is getting that story out from the ground, from the perspective of the men and women that are directly involved in energy production in this country, and how globally important it is, starting right here in the Permian Basin.
Yeah.
And I just feel so compelled to tell that story. And we have to do a lot of these jobs that just make the books flow. But everything we do, whether it's a job for a small company or a big company, I am interweaving that story into it, because I firmly believe that all these people are so important to the country, to the world. So I would love to partner with an organization or a few companies and really just maybe cut out some of the smaller things that we take our time with, and really just go after telling the story of this industry to the rest of the country, because there are a lot of people who They just don't like the energy business.
Right.
Despite being completely dependent upon it. And so, man, I don't know that I can turn hearts and minds, but I know what it takes to do that is strong visuals. At least that's what I believe, because you're showing somebody the truth.
Right.
And I get to see the truth every day. I consider myself so blessed. I look around this area and see it every day. And a lot of people think it looks ugly, but I think it looks amazing. This is man versus nature. This is science and engineering, conquering impossible feats. And I get a front row seat every day.
You get hit with the switch.
It's amazing, man. I love it. And I just want to share that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to recenter myself, because I did not come from an oil and gas background. I did not come from here. I didn't know squat about oil, gas. Like, you put the thing in your tank and you click the thing and the gas comes out. That was for years, for my whole, till 10 years ago. And so everything I have come to figure out about this industry through asking questions, being a journalist, my background is in news. I ask questions. I have come to firmly believe in the importance of this industry.
That's amazing, man. And just what you just said right there. So last night I was watching The Mandalorian, the gallery, the making of The Mandalorian.
Sure.
In the first episode, it's about the directors, and Jon Favreau was there. He was like, you know what? I hired people who are creative. First one was curious, creative, and inspired.
Yeah, baby.
And I'm taking that and I want to use that myself.
Yeah.
Because everything you just explained, that's what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're curious, right?
Yeah.
You're asking questions. You're from the news, right?
I love that curious came first.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, especially in media and production, and I was guilty of this for years. I finally had a shift recently. I'd love to tell that story too.
Awesome.
But we think like, that is all that matters. I don't care whether you're a good person or a bad person. Can you produce reliably and consistently? And that's of huge importance. And in the news business, going and competing for visual production against my peers in at the collegiate level, and then in the professional world, working with various news organizations, production was all that mattered.
Right.
And that's what made me, I think, so good. And some of the people that I work with, that's why I love news people. But actually what I've come to find out about is what kind of person are you? Are you curious? Do you ask questions? Do you seek to get more involved? Or are you just there to observe and then move on? And I think that's an issue, without delving too far off into like news and journalism and the state of affairs in that. Sometimes production, being of that mindset only, can actually keep you from learning what the real story is.
Yes.
Because I was fortunate enough to grow up in journalism, being taught by a lot of old school dudes, old time journalists. And probably the most important thing they taught me was about gaining trust, not to abuse it,
right?
To gain it and maintain it, and to really become part of the community. That's how you get the story. Because people will call you. People will go out of their way to tell you the story because they trust you. And that's really what I built this whole business on. And it's been about gaining the trust of the industry. But I came to find that in the news business, working here in Midland, people would started calling me the photographer at the newspaper with a story. And they'd be like, well, we got all kinds of reporters that work here. And they'd be like, no, this is a big one. This is a big story. We want you.
Wow.
And so I'd have to tell a reporter to come along with me. Or sometimes I just wrote the story myself. And there was things like that involving very high level situations in Midland that were people calling me.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging. I'm proud. That's because of that's how it starts, man. Trust. And so I just love that. And then, so as I've said, production is important. You can come to expect great production when you work with us, but it's going to go deeper than that. I want people to know what kind of company we are, where our values are, and that people come over production. And what's amazing is I really learned that actually from the oil and gas business. You'd think that production is all that matters, barrels per day,
right?
CFM, whatever measurement that you want to use to calculate your profitability or production. Some of the best companies to work with out here are ones that put people over production. And they're surprisingly successful.
Yeah. Because production comes when you take care of your people.
That's it.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that, man. Starting from when you're weaving in the story, the oilfield story.
Yeah.
People here into your work. Because one of the questions I did have for you is, man, what's your purpose?
To tell a story, man. We look for stories. I find them everywhere. And sometimes I just get pulled all these directions. That's a great story. Man, that's a great story. But now I'm able to focus it. When a customer calls me, or a prospective customer, one of the first things I ask them is, what makes you different? Who are they? Name them. Because I want to know who. You see these logos around town, trucks driving, like sometimes you don't know what these people do.
Right.
So, okay, I've heard of that person, or I've heard of you. Who do you compete with? And then I'm like, so what do you do? What's different? What's different? Why aren't you them? Yeah. What makes you? And then we focus our coverage on that. Now, sometimes people have like trade secrets or
For sure.
proprietary technology. We're mindful of that and work on ways to show their story externally if they want to do that.
Right. Yeah, you show the results.
That's what I think that's what good marketing I think does, is really it transforms your brand image so that you stand out from somebody else, right?
100%. Interesting you say that. So you, as your customers, then you see your customer as the hero of the story.
Right? I see and I always try and relate it back to people though, right? Yeah. People are the hero, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
And you are like the wise old master guiding them along. So I've recently been playing with that scenario, and that's how I feel I am, right? I'm like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm trying to find Luke out there and guide Luke along his journey.
Yeah. Well, they don't always know what they want.
Luke didn't know what he wanted.
Or they want everything. They think they want, like, Luke wants all the power. He wants to be a Jedi now. You don't want to work for it. Don't want to go through the process. We all struggle with that. I'm a dad. My 14-year-old wants to be good at everything right away. I get it. I want it. But the process is the beauty. And that's what we have to shoot, because I can't just instantly make this story that says X company is super great. Check them out.
Yeah.
Here's their phone number. Maybe that was like commercial tactic years ago.
Yeah.
What is your process?
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through it. Right?
Yeah.
The pipe comes in, you clean it out, you inspect it, then it looks like new, and it rolls out the other side. That's just an example.
Yeah.
What is your process? Because that's what I have to show off. That's the shot list.
Yes. So that's interesting that you bring that up, right? Because you're capturing visually the process.
Yeah.
Well, so something that is just getting out is a workflow, right? Call it BAM Workflow Wizard.
Okay.
So we're automating that process and digitizing it, everything. Because there's still a lot of companies that are still on paper.
Oh yeah.
Having to write, getting hand signatures.
Oh yeah.
Businesses have just created for running locations just to get signatures.
To get tickets.
Yeah. Let's digitize that.
Oh yeah. That's been pushed for
So, and I really think
for years.
The process is where it's at. Like you said, the process is beautiful. It's the journey.
Yeah. Usually what I find is a company will say something like that. I'd be like, well, all our competitors are doing this thing where somebody has to go do that. It takes forever and it's inefficient. And our design is better, faster, whatever. And that's usually the case. That's how innovation works.
Right.
Is somebody saying, I love the question why, especially being my news background. Somebody saying, well, this is how it's been. Why? And sometimes you got to be an outsider.
No.
Sometimes you got to be an outsider to ask why, because you might feel dumb, or somebody just takes it as the way it is.
It's the way it is.
And I love asking why. I ask so many questions. Every time I go out with a customer, I ask something. And at the beginning, they were very broad questions, like what? And I had to swallow my pride a little bit. What is that? What is a fracking thing? What is that? Oh, okay. And then you start seeing like different kinds of equipment related to that. What are those silos? What are those towers? Oh, those are silos where the sand goes. Okay. And then you're like, you have to just start. And now my questions are more focused, more laser focused on specifically what about that piece of equipment is different than the one I've seen or maybe photographed before, right? Now I'm like, got more experience. But you have to start asking these questions, and they got to be dumb ones. Almost no questions, dumb questions. They have to be just general base level stuff, or you're going to go through this whole process with your customer acting like you already know their stuff.
And it comes out at the end and they're like, what is this?
Yeah. Nobody knows their stuff better than the company. Nobody knows it better. So you have to just ask them to unpack it for you.
And asking why.
Yeah.
That is probably the magic key.
Oh yeah. And then a lot of the guys we work with, companies, a lot of the companies we work with, like they expect the lingo and all this stuff. I feel like a lot of people carry themselves out here where a lot of the slang and lingo, they don't dumb it down for anybody. And so you have to sometimes like back up and say, hey, tell me what that means.
For sure.
So
it goes back to curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Somebody throws something out there like you're lost. Hey, what did that mean right there?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Let's go.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the planning and developing a shot list and stuff like that helps, because you'll get a list of things that they say are important and you'll look at it and be like, I don't know what any of that is. So how do I show it? You don't want to show up on the job site and be like, yeah, we're here to show me where the dangler connects to the what is the thing in Back to the Future? The flux. Yeah. You're like, so I got to get a video of the flux capacitor. And then they're like, well, that's actually at another location, or it's not working today, or you can only photograph it in the morning, like when it runs. You have to get this stuff ironed out. Like you got to ask these questions before. Oh, they only run that in the morning, like when stuff comes in.
Yeah.
We should have started there. So you have to, and it's only by having done this so many times that I've got this system down to be like, okay, let's, before we show.
You don't know you never heard the word sunrise before, and you're there to photograph sunrise.
Yeah.
Show up.
Exactly. You got to, and everybody in this industry, like they all know what it means. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't.
Right.
You know, and to that effect, one of the amazing things about the oil field is you can plan it all out and know where everything is and what time, and you show up and that piece of equipment isn't even there.
Yeah.
So that's where I fall back on our news business, our ability to run and gun and produce no matter what is happening. We will make gold out of dirt all day long if we have to, but it definitely helps to have everything lined up.
There, yeah.
And then we almost expect there's going to be some things that go wrong or something's not where it's supposed to be or whatever. But you just want to minimize those things as much, one or two of them.
Man, so you're like an alchemist.
Yeah. There's a phrase in our office. We call ourselves like professional turd polishers because we make a lot of stuff that doesn't look that great, look pretty good, look really good. And we just call it polishing the turd. The thing is, these turds out here cost millions of dollars.
Yes.
People are proud of them. And so I try and get them to clean it up before we show up. But sometimes, I mean, I'm not above putting gloves on and picking up a location for somebody. You know, if some crew that was there left some pallets or some trash, you know, that hasn't been picked up yet. I mean, I clean up somebody's location for them because we're not trying to Photoshop all this stuff.
Yeah.
And two, it's the right thing to do. And three, we want people's best foot forward when we capture them. And so a lot of times you'll have a company that has a piece of equipment on a job site. Maybe they're responsible for one little part of it. And we show up and they did a good job on their part of it. Everything else just looks like needs some help. And so we'll say, hey, grab a couple buckets. I keep gloves, heavy duty gloves in the truck. We'll clean up the site for them and we'll make it look good. Again, not all the job sites are always in great shape. I just want to say, so because sometimes somebody leaves a water bottle or something out, you know how it goes.
That's polishing turd.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
little
stuff.
Little tricks.
So now, you know, it's Photoshopping it out, right? So I know.
But this goes back. Well, first of all, my background in news meant no picture could be altered. In the news, trust was your picture, was your trust, was your word, your name on it meant it was the truth. So in the private sector, we get a lot more freedom, but I still carry that with me. I'm telling a true story.
Yeah.
And if I haven't ever had a company do this, but if they said, we actually aren't doing this or don't know how to do this, or it's not our stuff, but we want you to make it look like it, I would go, I'm there to tell the truth. Because it's just like in life, man. It's way easier to tell the truth than it's easier to lie, but it's hard to remember the lie.
Yeah.
And it's just not a good road to go down. Stick to the truth and you'll always know what the story is. So
true.
We look for that story and tell the truth. And so when it comes to Photoshop and all that kind of stuff, it very quickly can snowball into needing to touch up one image because somebody's sticker got halfway rubbed off or something, which happens. And you just need to fix that, to having to Photoshop the entire shit.
Yeah.
And so that's something we tell people, make sure your logos are good. Make sure your equipment is how you want it to look. Because very quickly be like, and they don't get it. Customer will be like, you can just change that and do that. Before you know it, there's hundreds of changes that need to be made. And so we don't even go down that path.
Gotcha.
And we have pulled the plug before. We've said, get your yard together. We'll come back.
Yeah.
Because this is not going to be a good look for you.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's how everybody is, but these are functioning sites like truck traffic, things moving, weather being a factor. We want everything to look the best it can look.
For sure.
And so there's a little bit of involvement that has to happen on the part of the customer to make sure that happens.
For sure. So in your innovation and growing, and have you found any use for AI? Angel here with the BAM Entrepreneurial Center. I've got a burning question for all you dedicated business owners out there, especially if you're in the oil and gas service sectors. You know who you are, the ones who genuinely care about giving your customers an unforgettable experience and who understand the real goal behind every hardworking employee. Do your employees' days often feel like an endless juggling act, trying to stay on top of everything? Do you ever feel swamped trying to get customers updated about their equipment or the job they've entrusted with you? If the chaos feels overwhelming and you're searching for that magic touch to get everything running smoothly as possible, well, I've got some exciting news for you guys. Drum roll, please. BAM! Workflow Wizard is here. Now, it's not just a tool, it's your business companion. With just a few clicks, you'll see the change. Streamlined business processes, soaring efficiency, reduced errors. And the best part, when your operations thrive, guess what? So do your profit margins. And that's what it's about.
Hi, my name is Melissa Romo. I'm the owner of West Texas Pressure Testing, an inspection and recertification company. We inspect customers' equipment to make sure they can continue using it properly for whatever business purpose. The BAM Workflow Wizard has really helped me take my business to the next level because I am able to offer our customers online access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to the charts that we provide them after their inspection. This has really made everything so much easier because they don't have to call us anymore to get a chart. They don't have to worry about losing paper copies or USBs. And so now whoever runs the operations or has control of the equipment has a way to easily access those charts. As well as for us, we have a very organized and accessible record of these charts. And it has really brought us up to par on technology with some of the bigger competitors in our industry. So it's been a really helpful tool, and I look forward to growing my business with it.
Want to see the magic in action? Dive in with BAM Workflow Wizard, and let's revolutionize the way you work. So give me a call today, 432-247-8841, 247-8841. And let's get your operations running smooth like that beautiful, sweet Texas black gold. See you soon.
Yes, actually. So interestingly enough, we tested it, hated it. We tested it in one aspect of our business, which was corporate headshots, and hated it, threw it out. Awful. Now, we did a small control group. I'd be willing to revisit it. But basically, we had some submitted images, say, one individual. They submitted their favorite pictures of themselves. Have you ever done an AI headshot?
No.
Okay, so what it wants is like 20 high-quality pictures of your face-ish area. Yeah, but it doesn't even have to be. Different angles can help. But that it can compile to then generate these different scenarios. So, and if it doesn't like the picture, it's not high enough quality or doesn't show maybe enough of an angle or a different variety, it'll kick it back out and say, give me more. So it ends up needing like a couple dozen different pictures. So we did a pro headshot session in our studio. So we had some ones that we would produce like to our standards, real headshots. We fed that in, and then we asked for supplied pictures that the person liked so that it could match it all together. But our professional ones would be part of the mix. I wanted that to happen and not just be generated from like random pictures.
Right.
So we got about 100 or 150 pictures back, and we shared all of them. And the customer did not like a single one, not one. And I said, I can get you another 150, like another, all new, different ones. Didn't even want. It's such a frustrating experience, or just new. So what we figured out just from that small example is when it comes to your own self, people are very self-conscious of what looks like them or doesn't. And what I've seen AI useful for is like some of these funny things when it comes to producing photos. Like I want Elvis Presley in authentic 60s attire, 50s attire, working in the oil patch with era appropriate equipment. It'd be like, generate this. And it's, wow, that looks pretty good. Like we can't go shoot that. And so, but when it comes to a headshot of somebody that I can shoot that's actually them, we decided we weren't going to worry about integrating that right now. Gotcha. Maybe it'll improve. But when we can't have somebody come in. When somebody comes into our studio, we shoot like 15, 20 different variations of something and they find one they like. Or more than one, multiples. Yeah. We can't have an algorithm that creates 150 and they don't even have one. So that's backwards progress. Yeah. For us. Sure. So now AI, when it comes to post-production. So for example, we photographed somebody in the studio. It's a full head to toe, full body shot. And our backdrop is only so wide, say. Well, AI can really do a great job of cloning, extending backdrops or fixing contours in floors or cracks, things like that. Like we're photographing somebody's shop and they've got like a big crack through one of their floors, cement floors or something. Right. Like AI has proven to be useful on the post-production side of cleaning up things. Yeah. Like I said, we try and get the site, we try and do as much cleaning as we can. A lot of that was based on the amount of time that would be involved fixing that manually. So AI is helping, but we are still not going to deviate our processes. I would rather spend some time with the front to make everything look the best it can. And we will utilize what we need later if we need it. Right. But it has definitely proved helpful there. Big time on some of the post-production. For sure. And we're using it for our for phraseology, like, generating just some generic type phrasing and captions and things, stuff for social media.
It definitely helps.
Yeah.
You know, as a one-man show for me, man, it definitely
Yeah.
save hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fortunate enough to be in this role now where I'm managing employees and the crew. And so me personally, I actually am not using AI for anything, but these are the things that my guys are telling me. They have free reign. My guys and girls have free reign to go after creatively viable options that will help our business. I encourage it, man. I want somebody to come to me with an idea.
Yes.
I want somebody to come to me with a customer. I will reward them. I want them to take some ownership in the process.
Yes.
And so
yes.
I try not to tell somebody this is how it has to be done because that's how I did it or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, we have a guy who's doing graphic design for us and he's awesome. And he's using AI for stuff. And when the cake comes out of the kitchen, you don't go ask them how they made it. Maybe if you care, but you don't got to be involved every step of the way. Does the cake look good?
Yeah.
And
what you wanted?
Yeah.
That's what you asked for to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah. So I let them cook. That's the phrase these days. And as long as especially if it's something that's saving time, increasing efficiency, not sharing any sort of proprietary secrets of our customers with some algorithm. We're not going to use AI in any way like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
And I think that's so important in business in general, but especially startup and you're getting well on your way is culture.
Yeah.
You as the owner, as the guy, you set that tone.
Yeah.
And your employees, they'll follow your lead.
It's tough, man.
Oh yeah.
I mess up all the time.
Oh, we all.
It's hard. Probably the hardest part of running a business. The hardest part for me the hardest part that was walking away from my job to start this business to jump into it full time.
Yeah.
After that, the hardest thing has been just having employees, managing people. It's a struggle, and it
really is
not necessarily because these people are just difficult people. It's having to relate and maintain attitudes and production and handle requests for this, that, and the other.
Michael always said, the one variable, there's always an X factor, right? And it's always people. People is the one variable that really can't.
Yeah, but it's been awesome. Actually, what I've come to find, every time I've made a hire or brought somebody on in an increased level of involvement, I've been nervous about, are we going to be able to make it? They're going to pay for themselves and increase productivity and profitability. I'm just not sure. It's a big risk. Every time I've found that they bring more to the table if you hire the right people and decrease what I was having to do because they're taking on more, right? So, but it's still a huge jump. And it reminds me a lot of when I left my job and went it full time into my own business. That leap, hiring somebody is an incredible leap. It's nobody's prepared for it. You're taking somebody's livelihood into your hands
and feeding their family.
Yeah. So it's a lot. You hire the right people. They bring more to the table. They increase your ability to do things. Or maybe what I've found is you actually maybe end up with more time where you're not having to do something where you can maybe go do that work-life balance we were talking about.
Right.
Maybe you can get out of the office because you have somebody there handling some stuff. Right. So that's been a great unforeseen bonus, I guess you could say, of taking on that responsibility. Is what they bring to the table has an equal and opposite reaction in what you have. If you structure
right. Yes. And that's the key.
Yeah. And man, you know what I think a lot of people don't always understand is if you're a business owner, you are not in the business of employing people. That's not your job, is to make somebody's paycheck.
Right.
Because you could just go back to being your own person. An employee has to bring to the table innovation and ability to increase the company's profitability, which can then go back to the employee. But you can't just be paying people's salaries. And that's a hard truth. That's a hard thing.
For sure. Business it's not a welfare system.
That's what I'm saying. And we're fortunate to have people that bring something to the table. And we just have assembled this great team. And they are producing stuff that is at extremely high level. And it relates back to what you were saying about people thinking they need to go outside this area for stuff. There is talent in this area.
Yeah, there is.
And in some ways, it's uniquely available and untapped. Like from a visual production standpoint, there's photographers and videographers in this town who aren't maybe well known. but are interested in it and just need a chance to go after it. And in a bigger city or bigger town or something else, they may have gotten more support on that, or something, or maybe trying to start their own business or getting their own name out there. Here, they're maybe more tied in by, like, they have a great job in oil and gas, but they enjoy photography. Like, in some ways, there's these people that have this skill that aren't necessarily sharing it, that I've been able to find and work with, because they may not even know how good they are because the pond is small.
Huh.
I guess that what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people trying to produce content in bigger cities.
Yes.
There's more dissonance of material being thrown out there. And here you can really stand out. And so if you're an amateur that likes photography, you can stand out and be noticed. Like, I will notice you. We use a lot of contractors who have other jobs, do other things.
Right.
They enjoy photography. And in a bigger pond, they might not get so noticed.
Gotcha. Okay. Tracking. Yeah, that makes sense, because I have several friends on Facebook, and they take beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
It's not with the phone.
Yeah.
They have the equipment.
Yeah.
They're getting out there and they're finding the spot, right?
Yeah.
When you're taking pictures, about your location, right? Where you set up at.
Yeah, I see a lot of grassroots photographers in this town. I think that there's a lot of need for visual production, whether it's a newborn baby or a brand new frac pump. We don't do both. We typically stick on the oil field side. But from a visual producer standpoint, this is what I would call a small pond. You can work hard, you can stand out. And we love to use and contract with local talent too, to come help shoot events and different things. So
support local.
That's it.
Buy local. Look around where you're at. Because the more you support your community, man, we all prosper. We all benefit off of that.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to like competition, well, it can be a healthy competition, because you're always innovating, right? Because you want to improve. Well, if there's competition out there who is improving as well, right? Well, that's like a healthy.
Yeah, it is good, man. I've always struggled with that, because I'm always like such a competitive guy that I want to be the best. And
for sure.
And just my background competing for shots at news events against other photographers, other news outlets, trying to get the best angle. I just carry that with me, and I'm so ferociously competitive when it comes to telling my customer stories and safeguarding their trust, that there are other people doing what we do, but I just strive every day for us to just stand out in as many ways as possible. And I sometimes want to go after all these different things. Like I just said to you, there's a huge market for visual need here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have at times been like, I got to do it all.
Right.
Because there is a need for it. There's not enough. But there's only one of me. There's only so many guys that work for me. There's only so many directions I want to split everybody. And we just really laser focus in on what we are excelling. That doesn't mean we don't photograph the quinceañera portrait in our studio every once in a while. We do have a studio. We really are experts in lighting, I'm proud to say. So yeah, we have people that recognize that and want us to do some really high-end, like family portraiture or something like that. We will do that. I've had to rein back my desire to just conquer all these frontiers, because I really gotta guide it, gotta focus it.
So that's an interesting question. So from a marketing perspective, what you're putting out there is oil field.
Yeah.
You put out there that you do family portraits?
No, we don't really.
They just call you and say, hey.
Yeah, our customers all have families.
I know a guy.
Yeah, we'll usually find out is they'll be like, hey, like, do you think you could do this too? Almost like it's like we never thought of that. And I'll be like, yeah, for you, yes, we will. Like, absolutely. But I just think that there's a lot more competition in those segments. And also, just from a business perspective, the price point is not there for the amount of competition that exists for. Some of that stuff can be a race to the bottom. Somebody just wants some pictures of their family for $50 and they're happy. Yeah. And you will see a difference. We don't seek to really come in on it. The people that know us, that know what we can do, we take care of them top to bottom. But generally, we stick to our bread and butter, which is something that is very focused, requires certain amount of safety certifications and knowledge and experience to do.
Right.
Definitely specialized equipment, even just knowledge of the area. So it's been hard though. Like I said, I want to go every direction. I want to take on everybody. I don't mean that in a bad way. I am like so competitive.
Yeah.
I want to do it all. And back growing up as a photographer, when I was young, shooting everything I could shoot, I shot weddings, tons of weddings. And I also have come to realize, hey, I can do anything because I have my background as a sort of a just jack of all trades, newspaper photojournalist, send me in. I'll get something good no matter what. But there are some people that really specialize in that in this town that are really good at that, that are really good at newborn babies, that are really good at certain things. So do I want to spend the time to really go after that? Or do I want to focus on our area of expertise? And these are business questions, videography, whatever, out of it. Picking directions to expand. Our customers go through this all the time. Sometimes they just buy another company. That way they got it. Sometimes that's easiest, right? In the oil and gas business, look at some of the acquisitions that have happened. It's easier to just buy a company in the area you want to be in sometimes that's already got a good model down,
For sure.
than it is to try and take the time to go out there and strike out and do it.
Right.
So I've spent a lot of time building this with the focus that we have. And so we're continuing in that direction and expanding to just continue to represent the industry through advocacy and through storytelling. And that's really where we're at right now.
That's beautiful, man. Been in my head since you mentioned that a while ago. What a documentary.
Oh, how about a documentary on this area?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, we could do it, and I would love to do it. And I also am compiling stuff off to the side for maybe a book one day, because this area, like I said earlier, I'm not originally from here. I have not become what you would call, I don't know, tone deaf, like to some of the images of oil and gas that I see. Like right now, when you drive up North Big Spring, there's 2 drilling rigs behind a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Do you know how amazing that is?
Right.
Where else in the world
Are you going to see that? Yeah.
are you going to see that?
It's right in the middle.
So, and that stuff happens all
It's all over
out here. I remember covering a cross country race when I worked at the newspaper, and it was out at some land off 1788, and they were drilling. And these kids were running 3.2 miles around this course, and they make a turn, and I have to figure out where I'm going to shoot from. That's part of my job at the newspaper, is like, what are the good angles and who are the good kids that have a good story and or maybe are winning or whatever. Well, there's this one angle, they turn and they come running towards me where I could position a drilling rig behind them, And I'm like, that's the shot, dude. That's the shot, because it's just such
It defines
it defines the area, and they're almost competing elements in the same picture. But around here, what's amazing is those aren't competing elements. We go through everyday life. You can go up North Big Spring and get in the Starbucks line and be within 100 to 200 yards of a actively drilling rig. And people sit there and scroll through their phones or whatever, don't think about it.
Right.
So that's fine. I don't want everybody to think about it, because that's what I think about, and it captures me, it inspires me. And so I just seek, whether it was back in the news business trying to incorporate equipment and sites into every picture I took, which I think is really what helped me build my name and stand out, why companies started calling me, because no matter what I shot, I'd try and include like something in there, and people would be like, hey, that was our piece of equipment that we thought that was really cool. To now, where I really try and build these elements that not only just tell the story of the company, but tell the entire story of the region, tell the entire story of the industry. That is what I love to do. Years ago, learning photography, I figured out, when it came to composition, which is a photography word people use, how do you compose your shot? Do you put something off to the side, or what do you do?
Right.
I had to figure out early on that it's not about putting all the elements into the picture. It's about putting the right elements.
The right depth.
So cutting out the stuff that doesn't matter, stacking in the stuff that does. Whether that means you move yourself, whether that means you walk up to the top of a hill to change your perspective. It's about putting the right elements in. And so we try and figure out from a business perspective, what are the right elements? We try and throw a little bit of magic in that could be stuff that's just happening out in the field, other cool stuff, other sites, architecture, regional stuff. Sometimes you get some mountains when you get far enough over towards New Mexico. Here, we're limited. You can change your elevation. You can do something, get up on a man lift. I try and combine the right elements into the picture. Right. And that started years ago for me, because I found out really quickly I could make some really sloppy pictures just shooting wide, trying to capture everything and figure out later what was important. You got to figure out what's important
right then and there. That's your eye in the moment. It's your physical eye, right? You're seeing visually, but then you're also, how do you tell the story that you're trying to capture?
Yeah, telling the story. It all goes back to that for me. And I would use pictures to tell a story. Now we're using video. I love shooting video now. I love shooting video.
Before you weren't so much.
Oh, dude, video was like the bane of my existence. Here in news, I'm old enough that it was like, I got to the end of I was the first on the cusp of the digital transition. I shot film, and then I went to digital, never looked back. So then video was shortly thereafter. And I was like, no, I'm a photographer. Like, I'm a video stuff. Well, I had to learn video in school. They were teaching us, everybody knew video was like the future, but you could grumble about it. a lot of the older guys at that time that were in the news, like retired or just were like, no, we're not doing it. I knew I was going to have to take it on if I wanted to be viable in that industry.
Yeah.
So I learned video, but I still never really liked it. And the idea shortly thereafter in the news business, as cuts were happening and it became a really hard time to get a job, was this notion of this great phrase was invented called one-man band, which really means everybody else has been fired and you're supposed to do the photography and the videography and write the story and everything. And you're still going to get paid for like one person. So, there's a little bit of by necessity. I had to be able to learn and do everything. Now that I have this business and I have this crew and, maybe now I've got somebody that can take care of doing the pictures. I'm free now to do the video. I don't have to also do this. I don't have to do that. We have a crew there. Man, I really love video. Like it's such a more dynamic way to tell a story because I don't have to fit all the right elements into one frame anymore.
Right.
I can do multiple shots that tell a story. But if you have that compositional knowledge, that photography experience to make what a good shot is, to then make a good video with it. Because you can make a bunch of garbage video too.
For sure.
And I think our editor that works for me would definitely say I've shot plenty of garbage video. But there's always enough. And I've gotten way tighter and I've started shooting more and I've started shooting more focused things. And I just really, like recently, have enjoyed shooting video. We've been doing video for a while, but like I hired videographer and people to handle it because the time involved in editing and all this stuff. But now I'm really free to focus on that or focus on whatever I want to. And yeah, it's been cool. Video is great. Obviously, we're in the age of sharing video online. Videos get more clicks than photos. YouTube has become the largest search engine. People don't care how to do something on Wikipedia. They want to know how somebody did it on YouTube, so they just see it and do it. I'm old enough that I'm very frustrated by that because it's never the right video of like exactly what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like it's always just something close or whatever. I still Google things, which probably shows. I guess if you're of a certain age and you say, well, Google it.
It could be anything.
Kids probably don't say Google it. So video, but the point is it's definitely been defined. Video ain't going away.
Right.
It's not going away. And in fact, an interesting thing about it really is the need for this high technical production has actually gone away. Yeah. And it's more about the story. Again.
Yeah. All about the story.
It doesn't matter if it was shot on a phone. In fact, most of the things we see now are
on the phone,
or are formatted. We take our multi-gajillion-dollar cameras and turn them this way
to look like
to shoot vertically because everyone's going to watch it on a phone.
Yeah.
So you might as well use all of your pixels, all of your sensors. We're doing that now. I mean, we're shooting video this way.
Okay.
Taking the cameras and actually filming everything this way. So the point is, it's come back to the story.
Yeah.
Because the technical aspect of it will always stand out. Always people see high level production, but a good story, people are going to watch it. A good TikTok, a good reel.
Yeah.
People are going to watch it and share it and comment and argue and whatever.
If it's done on a super high def, if there's no story to track, if there's nothing there, what does the visual do to you?
Yeah, man. And I love that. I love that a lot because I've never had pretty much the newest camera. We have a ton of equipment now, especially being a small business, successful media production company. We have whatever we want, really. But I always still have to justify whether or not that thing will make more money than the previous model or whether I just want it.
Right.
And I've always erred on the side of we use our stuff up and then we replace it when there's something that it no longer can do, that like a new model can do better.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, like we don't shoot on red cameras. Some people would say we're leaving some quality on the table. But we're still dealing with a lot of customers that don't know what I'm asking them when I ask if they want it in HD or 4K. They don't know.
Right.
So
what's the difference?
Yeah, they really don't know. And then when they just go like whatever's best or something, they need to understand that 4K, they might not even have a machine that's up to the task of viewing the 4K that we can produce. So it's just an interesting dynamic of where we're at, that we have made decisions on equipment and how we shoot things and stuff where we're not. We have top end equipment, no doubt, but we don't need to worry about somebody having the newest model because what's it all come down to? The story.
Story, man.
And so we tell the story and we do it the best that we can do it. And we have the right equipment to tell the story. And that's it, man.
Yeah. Man, that's beautiful, man. It's all about the story. And I think that you've told you yourself and your business have a beautiful story. And man, congratulations on your success. And I look forward to you continuing that story.
Thank you, man. It's been a wild ride. I've said that for years. It's I really feel like we are strapped into the same rocket that our oil and gas partners are. When it goes up, we're with them. Sometimes it just feels like it's this momentum where you're just facing up and the rocket is just going and we're just along for it together. All of our customers are that way. They're developing new tech. We got to shoot it. We're trying to keep up with shoots. We're booked months out. I mean, the rocket is going.
Let's go.
And we are firmly connected and partnered with the energy business.
Right.
We are along for the ride, and it's been a wild one. It's been a fun one. There's been downturns.
Oh yeah.
We made it through. And boy, I'll tell you, there was still stories to tell in the downturns too.
For sure. Can only imagine. That's where it is.
That's where the innovation, unfortunately, takes place.
Yeah.
And that's where we innovated some things too, is when I had more time to sit at home, be like, well, what's next? Because now I had the time.
How do you figure it out?
Yeah. And so, yeah, we enjoy it. I love it. Our unofficial slogan, I guess it's official, but it's what I got listed on our social media, is we're telling the story of the most important industry in the world. That's what I believe. I used to be like, I don't know, using great visuals to blah, blah, like kind of this thing. And you guys at the business development, when you guys help a business, what's your things like corporate slogans? That all matters. Mission statement, vision, you name it, core values, all this stuff. I love the phrase elevator pitch, that phrase, because that's really what it came down to. I was told to focus on that heavily when I was in the entrepreneurial challenge. You got to convince somebody to give you money in 5 minutes. So you better not have too many words involved and a whole lot of feeling. And so I just captured that essence. I firmly believe it's the most important industry in the world. I think every other industry is connected to it. Every other quality of life item is connected to it. People's personal mobility and freedoms and ability to travel, move up in life, improve themselves is tied to it. It's the most important industry in the world. And I get to tell its story.
You have the honor of doing that.
I do. It is
That's your perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what drives you.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Well, man, where are you at? Where are you located at?
We're in Midland. We have a Midland studio. We office out of Midland. We do a ton of work in Odessa. We're a Midland Chamber of Commerce member. We're a Odessa. What is there under 40? What is that? Young Odessa.
Young professionals.
We're a Midland Chamber of Commerce member. We're Young Professionals of Odessa member because we do work, plenty of work in Odessa. We have employees live in Odessa. So we are a local business, but man, we are doing stuff all across the state, all across the country. I go all over the U.S. doing this. I was just in Colorado for some time. We go to Louisiana a lot. I've been to Pennsylvania before. We are in the oil fields of the country, but we are so proud to be based in the Permian because I truly believe this is one of the best areas of production, one of the best areas to be telling the story of the energy industry, and will likely continue to be one of the hottest spots for activity when it comes to energy production for our country and for the world.
I couldn't agree more, man. And I think we're actually just getting started.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting, just getting started is a great way to phrase it because it's a little bit of a fighting phrase because there are people that want us to be done.
Right.
So it's like taking the opposite stance, like we're just getting started. But it also pays homage to the history of this region, which has been written off before completely.
Right.
The Permian is dead. There is no more oil. It'll be gone soon.
Right.
All you got to do is go to the Petroleum Museum. One of my favorite exhibits there is and especially as a news guy, it hits me in multiple areas. All the news articles that state like peak oil will be in 1976, like all these headlines from all these sources that are saying like the end is near.
The end is not.
Dude, this area has just broken the preconceived notions and it's done it over and over. And it's that spirit of wildcatting.
Yes.
Otherwise, everybody would do it. You got to take a
Risk taking. Yeah.
And there's some folks in this town that have done it and drilled dry holes and been made fun of and doubled down and tripled down. And a lot of people like to hate on people that have become successful, but it took blood.
Yes, it did. Well, the safety laws were written in blood, right?
Well, there's that.
Because it is a dangerous, because you're taking a risk. You're taking a huge risk. With those, way back in the day, the wildcatters with those dry holes over and over again. Well, their great grandkids are doing good now.
Yeah, and they're donating to help build new parks out here.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And so for you to tell the story about it, that's what the area needs.
Yeah.
We need a collective perspective.
Yeah, and it's a risk. I buy in too. I'm betting our livelihoods on it too. I'm betting that I can tell this story and that I can continue to tell this story.
Yeah.
That's a risk.
Sure.
yeah, I could just say, well, I think I'll just shoot weddings because people always get married, and maybe we'll move somewhere where there's a little more green stuff, and I'll just do that. And there's no shame in that. But man, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I'm in it too.
In it to win it.
I'm gambling with everybody else out here. These are my customers. These are my friends. We're partners. I believe in it.
So that's the third time you used the word partners. And I wanted to comment on it before, but I know that is a big reason for your success, because your customer is just not your customer. They're your partner.
Absolutely. I see these guys at the clay shoots. Our kids go to school together. In the Permian Basin, especially when you're dealing with companies that are Permian based or have major operations here, this community is still small enough that you're not going to see somebody again. So you got to do them right. You got to see something through to completion, and you got to be a partner. And especially in this industry, this energy industry, I consider them partners because we are telling their story. And the only way we can really do it is with that trust that I talked about at the beginning.
Yeah.
They have to open up to me and tell me why that same piece of equipment that I know every other company that does what they do has, how they've configured it differently, how they've custom built it maybe differently, or how their people run it differently, or whatever it is. They got to trust me. I got to know. Otherwise, I'm just there. We come out and take pretty pictures. You got to tell me anything. I'll show up. We'll do a good job because I'm confident. We got the skills. Put me out there. That's my background in news. I can handle it. But you really want to dig into it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to dig into it with you.
Yeah.
I want to hear what makes you, and I want to show it off without giving too many goodies away. I got to know.
Yeah, for sure. You're not showing anybody the secret sauce when you drink a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You don't know the secret recipe, but hey, it's a good drink.
What's interesting is a lot of companies really do offer. There's a lot of the same things out here. It just really boils down to who can be most efficient at it, and then who can introduce new technologies at a way that is still financially attractive.
For sure. And you hear stories all the time about the different innovations that I'm sure you hear way more than I hear. It's when you're telling the story of how that innovation came to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's, so again, I also have come to find out there's a little bit of security in that because the innovation happens, these companies call me back out because they changed. They got something better, newer, faster. And so in some ways it's like copping out. No, I won't say copping out. In some ways it's like picking a different form of photography where you say, well, people are always going to get married or something, so I'll always have good job security in wedding photography. No doubt. But I've come to find out like this leap into the energy business has some security too, because my customers want me back. They got more stories they want to tell. We just scratched the surface of what makes them special. And they come out with something new. They're on the cusp of something new. Like our best customers, we're not going out shooting the same thing over and over again. Right. I mean, they are innovative.
Yeah. And you're being innovative.
Yeah. We're being innovative. Okay, we shot this way. Let's do it this way. How about a sunrise? Like, where's this location at? Is there something, what else is happening there? So, man, that's why they're partners, because we work with them to tell their story.
That's what it's about, man. And in doing so, you're telling your own story.
Well,
it's threaded in there.
Yeah. That's the journalist in me. That's the journalist. My story is being wrote as an observer, documentarian of this industry. What's really interesting, I mentioned one thing I like at the Petroleum Museum. I'm going to tell you another thing I like at the Petroleum Museum. There's a camera there. There's a camera, an old camera, way old, like with the little like squiggly like diaphragm thing, we're like an old timey camera.
Of the century.
Yeah.
Century.
And it belongs to what I would call was the first oil field photographer. He didn't call himself that, but it's on display.
Wow.
And it's got a little caption under it. And there was an oil field photographer who traveled and documented the industry 100 years ago.
Wow.
And so it's a little humbling. I always look at it because sometimes I can be like, yeah, I'm the oil field photographer. No, I'm not the first one, and I won't be the last one. And I wasn't the second one or third one. There are guys that have done. And if you've been in the industry long enough, or especially been around some of the publications that cover this industry, there's been some guys that have done this over and over for years. But a lot of them have gotten old. I feel like I'm carrying the torch. I feel like it's a responsibility and a duty and an honor. But yeah, I go look back at that camera at the Petroleum Museum, and it's a little humbling because this isn't my idea. This is all about telling the story. And imagine the conditions that they had to work in. And,
no safety.
Yeah, it's just mind blowing to me. It's one of my favorite things at the Petroleum Museum.
And of course,
next time you go, look for the camera.
I will. That's super interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool that you're carrying that on. You know,
I like to think so.
you're doing it. You're doing
Yeah.
it, man. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure. Tell people how they can get a hold of you. Where do they find you at?
Well, I'm the oil field photographer. You type it into Google. There I go Googling again, right? Yeah, the oilfieldphotographer.com, the oilfield photographer on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We have a TikTok now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whatever. Facebook, the oilfield photographer, THE. It's not hard to find me. When I decided to pursue that name a while back, like we talked about, I decided right then and there I didn't care if somebody knew what my name was. I just wanted them to know what I do. And that's what I do.
Put it out there, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, it's been a pleasure talking with you, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your success, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And looking forward to a lot more.
Thank you.
Have a good one, man.